Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ascension with V. It is another solo dolo episode, and I wanted to talk about the theme around love. So we just did the whole Venus coming out of the underworld thing. It's all about the relationships, how you're loved, things of this nature. Venus, the goddess of love. And we're kind of gonna dive deep in the topic of love, external love, loving oneself. What does love mean to you? And how do you want to be loved? Things of this nature. We're just going to let it rip. We're just going to flow through. We're going to see what comes through. We're going to see what God Source Universe wants to throw in here. You know how it goes. And yeah, we are just now coming out of eclipse season of the solar eclipse just now that we had in new moon in Aries. And then prior to that, we had the lunar eclipse, full moon. And both are my signs, both very heavy hitting, packed some punches kind of energy for me personally. And really honestly, it took me like 2 or 3 days. I just laid in bed and slept, and I'm going to be honest, I'm still kind of groggy, still kind of trying to, recalibrate, bring myself back into my equilibrium, my balance on everything. But I created a new offering that I'll upload onto the Patreon, and then it will plug into my link tree. So you'll be able to shop directly from my link tree to get this as well. But it is going to be essentially your exploring your ideal partner, energetic divine union blueprint type of template. It's like a little worksheet, a little mini work through thing, and it was born from me doing this work myself, where God Source Universe had kind of sat me down and was like, okay, now listen, you need to know exactly what it is that you want in a relationship. What does a relationship look like for you? What kind of things are just like hard passes, non-negotiables for you? What are things that you're willing to work on with a person or within a relationship? What are things that you need to work on within a relationship and within yourself? What are things that, how do you want to be loved? How do you want to be supported? How do you want to be cared for? What is your love language? Do you know your love language? What does a relationship look like for you in terms of, how often do you see each other every day? Does this person live down the street from you? And if they live down the street from you, like, do you guys have to see each other every day? Or are you cool with seeing each other like every 2 days, every 3 days? Down to the microscopic, very Virgo detailed, or very Virgo detailed list and thing that I created because God Source Universe told me to, essentially. So I looked at it after I got it all done, and my neurodivergent hyperfocus kicked in. I think at like 1 a.m. It might have been earlier than that. I think I was TMI, but I'm pretty sure I was on the toilet, and I immediately, hyper focus kicked in, and I was like, oh snap, I gotta write this list. And it just kind of like flew through me. But I did end up finishing it at like 1 a.m. I got it laid out on the things that I wanted to include in it, wrote it down on my little notes on the iPhone, and then just filled it in as I went. And so then I was like, you know what? I could give this out to people as well so that they too could do it, because I think it's really important for everybody to not just like love, external love aside, is super important for you to know who you are to a T, and what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, what your triggers are, where you're still wounded and healing. And like, let's cut the shit here. We're all still wounded and healing in some way. Like, you're never going to be like a completely perfectly finished project. You're never going to be like, I've done everything, I'm perfect. And coming from a Virgo, perfectionism is not real, not within yourself and not within an external person ever. So like, you got to let that go, because it's not real. It's not something that you're ever going to achieve for yourself, and it's not something that is going to be achievable within an external person, partner, friend, relationship, anything of this nature, project that's just not, it's not real. So you're always going to have things that you're going to need to work on within the self. You're going to need to acknowledge within the self, and you'll always be kind of a work in progress type of thing. But there are levels to this, right? So you need to know, like, how much work have you done on yourself? Have you done any work at all on yourself? Because and this is not the time to be trying to like fabricate information on yourself. I wish a lot of people, I wish there were a dating app, right? I wish there were a dating app that it like looked at your soul and energetic work, like when you're creating your profile, like you had to, I don't know, scan the in your face biometrics, and somehow it read your aura and your soul's details and was like, you've done this much work on yourself, or you've not done this much work, and it could like show where the meter is, so it could then match you with equal partners, like Tinder, but for like energetic matches. Because there's like a level to where you've essentially done no work on yourself, and you're still very much in, your level one version of self, right? If there's a million versions of self, you're like at level one. Keeping it buck 100, there are levels to it. So you have to be open and honest enough with yourself to know where you're at on that chart, on that bar. What level of your growth and healing have you done? And then what level of your growth and healing are you willing to accept for an external partner? Right? Because you guys are going to have, you and whoever you get in a relationship are going to have things that you're going to have to work on together with one another as a couple, but then also individually, because there's only so much healing that you can do while you're single. And I mean, that's just facts. When you're with somebody else is how you, oftentimes they have other puzzle pieces to your puzzle that you need, and vice versa, or you have keys to their, things that they may need, and vice versa. And maybe they have the bandages and ointments to some of the wounds that you can't reach to dress and attend to on your own. And so like somebody else has to come with the first aid kit and dress and heal those wounds that you can't reach, right? Like maybe the maybe the wound is like in an awkward spot on your back. You can't reach it. For those of you guys who are just listening to me, you should definitely go over to my podcast on YouTube, Stashia Jeanette 007, so you can see me doing the weird examples. But yeah, if there's sometimes it's things like this, like you need an external person to be able to help you heal the wounds you can't heal yourself. And it doesn't matter if you go and study in the Himalayas, like meditate in the Himalayas for years on end, there will still be things that somebody else has to like heal for you. You can't reach the wound, somebody else has to help you heal that wound, and that's just what it is. And so that being said, you have to know, like, how much work are you willing to put into somebody else? And I mean, you got to be honest, and how much is too much work for you? Because there is such a thing as pouring too much time, love, and effort into somebody, where you then you've like entered danger zone, because now you're pouring out more than essentially what you're getting back, and then it starts to drain you, and that's not what we want. You want someone that's going to be as close to equally yoked to you as possible, wounds and all. Wounding and work to be done within the self, and all in the things that they've already done within themselves. These are things that you should take into consideration. But one of the biggest things that God Source Universe had me sit down and write out on the list, that I spent a lot of time writing about and dissecting, was the not the what I was not willing to put up with thing. Because I mean, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory at this point in time in my life. I mean, I've gotten pretty good at being like, oh yeah, well that's not gonna work for me. But it was more so the internal aspects of what I wanted from a person. It was the internal aspects of, I don't know, what support felt like for me. And I'm trying to find the list here. I think I passed it. Okay, so I found the list. I was trying really hard to find it. So essentially I put um the love languages. Like, you need to know what your love languages are. Mine personally, my first one was 50-50 between touch and acts of service. Acts of service, I'm gonna say though, is my biggest one. Like, I'm all about the action. Like, don't tell don't tell me like, oh, but I love you so much, but then it ain't matching. Is like, it's not matching up. Your actions aren't matching the words. So I'm very much more of a, just show me. Yes, I want you to tell me like, I love you, babe, and I want to see you, things of this nature. But like, show me. If you miss me, get on the phone, FaceTime me, and be like, look, I'm about to, if you don't live here, be like, look, I'm about to book a flight. What days do you have off? Let's sync our calendars so I can make this happen. I'm trying to see you. Like, I'm trying to see you, and then send me the confirmation of your booking flight and be like, booked, I'll be there on this day or what have you. If you're down the street, call me up, FaceTime me, and be like, hey, what are you doing? You got time for me to come by? Do you want to go get a coffee? Do you want to, like, I just miss you, things of this nature. But beyond that is like, when you can see that, like, I'm struggling, when you can see that I'm struggling, when you can see that I'm going through something, when you can tell that I need help with something. I like when a person takes the initiative to do things for me, simple things like, you took the trash out for me. Like, I love that. Oh, I forgot to, you know, put the dishes in the dryer. Thank you for putting the dishes in the dish dryer. Well, thanks for, refilling the toilet paper. Like, little shit like this. It's the meat and potatoes for me. And this is something that I I feel like people downplay the love language thing. Like, it doesn't get the respect that it deserves in these relationship streets, really, honestly, but it does play a vital part, because, like, not everybody's going to love you the way that you want to be loved. Just like not everybody's going to be able to support you the way that you want to be supported. And so knowing how you want to be loved and how you want to be supported is how the universe co-creates and conspires with you to bring you who and what you want and need. Listen to me. Need. Need. Who and what you want and need on a silver platter. Like, okay, here you go. Because always think of it like you're placing an order on Amazon, or better yet, you're at a restaurant, and the waiter is there, and they're like getting ready to take your order, and you're like, okay, and so this is what I'd like on my salad: no croutons, no olives, no feta cheese, no this, that, and the third, no tomatoes, no onions. Right? You're telling the waiter what it is that you don't want. Like, this is the example of your hard passes, hard no's, unnegotiables, because maybe you're allergic to those ingredients, right? Like, deathly allergic to these ingredients. Don't want that, can't have that, will not have that, detrimental to my health. Type of demeanor. And then you tell them, okay, so like, you don't really know what's on the menu, but here's what I like. And you're telling the waiter, I like, well, I really like eggplant. I really like a good caprese salad or sandwich. I really love a good broccoli cheddar soup, something of this nature. You're placing the order. You know what you're looking for when you go on Amazon. You're placing the order for the item that you want. You may not know exactly what the item is, but like, what you're searching on the Amazon. But it's just like this. When you figure out what it is that you want, going back to the love language thing, when you figure out what your love language is, that then is you starting to place that order with the universe, and God source universe can start being like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and get this, let me add this into the batter, and get ready to, let me mix this up and see what else what else do they want to order and add to that. And yeah, what else did I put on here? Touch. So touch was also like a thing that I put in that was tied with the acts of service. But like I said, honestly, if I had to choose, like say the person was long distance, acts of service still, like, things of this nature. But having physical touch, like cuddle me. Not all the time, but like give me a good bear hug. I like that. I like to be little spoon. Damn it. I wanna be the little spoon. And yeah, but it's things like this. So often people are afraid to admit these kinds of things, like not just outwardly, but to themselves. They don't want to, I don't know, seem soft. Even men and women equally, they don't want to be like, oh, I don't, man, I don't need a woman, I don't need like, that's fine, but you can still want, you still have wants, that you have desires. In your perfect fantasy world, how would you want to spend your time with a person? Another part that I had was the ways that you want to be supported. Like, do you know if you're going through a hard time? So let me break it down. If you're going through like a hard time in life, and what is it that you would want somebody externally to say to you? And then equally, what is it equally that you would not want somebody to say to you? Like, what's just going, you having a rough day. What is the one thing you don't want somebody saying to you? What's going to make it worse for you? You're like, I stubbed my toe this morning, and then after that I hit my knee on the counter, and then, and then I almost rolled my ankle on the step. It just was a rough morning for you. Like, was a rough morning for me. What you don't want to hear probably in that situation is like, well, it could have been worse. And somebody always want to hit you with the like, well, it could have been worse. I feel like for a person of like acts of service as their love language, I think for me, the way that I would want to be supported in that situation is saying like, do you need anything? Is there anything that I can do for you? So I said offers to help with things they know I'm struggling with, either professionally or at home / in general life. What can I do? How can I help? What can I help you with? Like, these kind of questions are the staples to like having a solid foundation of relationship for me. And it's super important for you to know equally, how do you want to be supported? Again, not just romantically, but in general in life, how do you want for people to show up for you in your life? And then what does a relationship look like for you? This is the section that I spent the most time in. And that's the section that you should probably spend the most time in with you. Focusing on is, I had a oracle reading that this came up in, where this list was born from. And I said, you need to know, are you a person that's clingy? And like, what kind of clingy is that? Is it the clingy of you constantly want to be up each other's butt 24/7? Like, I want to be up your butt. I want to be in the bathtub with you. I want to be in the shower with you. I want to wipe your butt. I want to I want to be in your skin, kind of clingy. Like, is that you? And you got to be real with yourself here. Like, you really really have to know yourself unjudgmentally in this moment, because otherwise you're not going to be able to bring in who and what it is that your heart and soul truly craves. Like, you can lie to yourself and outwardly as much as you want, but God source universe knows, like, now you know good and well, you know good and well that you ain't, that's not how you really are. You want to be all up in somebody's business. You trying to cuddle all the time. Yeah, so you just have to be real with yourself, and know exactly know exactly how you really want to be with somebody in a relationship. You need to know, how frequently are you guys, would you really want to spend time with someone? There is this thing, and I'm slightly this way as well, and I don't know if it's like a neurodivergent type of situation or not, but like I just like being in the same room with somebody but we're not really doing anything. Like we're hanging out, but like maybe they're reading a book and I'm like doing my, I don't know, editing or something. But then also equally, I like when we're just being weird, watching anime, we're like gaming, or, we're playing Uno, or we're going for a walk, or something of this nature, but not everybody wants to spend time with someone the exact same way. And so again, taking the time to write out, like I said, what the relationship looks like for you, how often you're with this person, what you guys are doing, what you do like doing together, what you don't want to do together. How much alone time do you require? Because some people don't require any. They don't want to be alone ever. That's not me. That's not me. And you need to know yourself enough. I'm going to be incredibly redundant here in saying this because this is what really a lot of people, it just goes over the head, and they get upset and frustrated. Why do I keep meeting the same kind of people? Why is it the same kind of this? And one of three things of the aforementioned steps you have missed. Either you're still lying to yourself about what it is that you want in a person, what you really like in a relationship, what you're really like in a relationship, or all three. You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself and be okay with what it is that your heart and soul is truly desiring, and in love in a relationship. Yeah, because if you're really a person who doesn't want to be alone, but you're like portraying like you're a very independent person and you're like, oh, I don't need you. But then as soon as you get home, you're like calling a bunch of people, you're constantly, trying to somehow be sociable with someone, or you avoid going home or spending any time alone. The only time that you go home is so that you can sleep, kind of thing. Like this is that's an issue. You just need to go ahead and embrace. You just need to go ahead and embrace the fact that you don't want to be alone, like ever. And some people, that is them. They are not equipped. They are not equipped. They don't like it. They don't want it. They don't care if it's a problem for other people. They don't want to be alone. And that's just okay. If you're one of those people, great, own that and be open and upfront about it. Don't get mad if you lied about that being how you are in a relationship, but then 2 months later you flip the switch and then like you mad because you didn't present that way at the start, and so the person that you're with is not a person that wants to be with you 24/7, and you mad at them. You're clashing because you're not relationship compatible. You're not each other's type, and that's why a lot of relationships right now are raggedy and failing, is because a lot of people have just not been honest from go about who they are, what they're like, what they do and don't like, and what is or is not okay with them. Because there's only so much that you can pretend in a relationship. There's only so much that you can take within a relationship, and there's only so long that you can continue to suppress and repress your emotions and true self thoughts and feelings within a relationship, and let things that you truly desire or need, or vice versa, things that you don't like, that you just have been trying to like bottle up and like tolerate just for the sake of having a person. Like that's not okay. You can't do that, because that's how like cheating starts to come into the mix, because whatever needs that you're not getting fulfilled within that relationship, because You didn't put the full requirements out there. You didn't put your transparent self authentically out there from go to say, look, I need to be up your butt 24/7 person. I want to wipe your butt. I want to be in the bath with you. I want to be where you at, what you doing 24/7. Because you didn't say that, and because you didn't say I'm looking for a person that wants me to be that with them, that craves that kind of person, you got with somebody who doesn't want that, and they're very, very independent, and they're very like autonomous and on their own, and they're not doing anything wrong, but like y'all are clashing, and you're out there seeking that person in someone else just because you didn't communicate. You weren't honest, from the beginning about who you are and what it is that you need and desire and don't like in a relationship. Listen, this is a thing. And everybody asks me, like, why are you single? This is why. This is exactly why. Because not only that, I'm gonna keep it a buck hundred with you. Like, all jokes aside, I did life very different from most people here on this planet, right? Like, I went through a whole bunch of really terrible shit, a lot of death and rebirths, both physically and spiritually. Um, at a really young age, and I focused on me and my internal world and fixing myself and getting my shit together internally before I focused on the external world. So like, from external world standards, like, I'm a super, super late bloomer. Like, I'm just now at 32 starting to crack above the surface, like to sprout above the soil. Like, one little green like one little green leaf has just now begun to sprout above the soil, right? Where like everyone else is, like a whole little like garden, some of them kind of shriveling up now, but like but the point here is saying I spent a lot of my time up to this point just trying to get my shit together and figure out what is happening with me, number one, and healing. I spent all of my time up to this point trying to heal both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually because I was broken in all those ways. I had a lot of damage going on in all those ways. And so, unlike 99% of this world, like, I just didn't want to continue to. Once I became cognizant of what was happening, meaning like once I got off of the medications that were suppressing me, and I started waking up and realizing, well, shit, I've been effing myself frequently. I made the decision to heal and not look back. After that, I kept myself in isolation, away from people. Not like away from people, but away from like love, away from relationships, because number one, I wasn't looking for just any kind of relationship, and I also wasn't ready because again, I was just now rediscovering who I was and what I was like, and what I was like off of medications, and what my mind was like and what my body was like, and getting in touch with my homeostasis, my proprioception, and learning like, whoa, what is this body kind of thing, right? On earth but not of earth. So just really learning to be human. And that came with a lot of really interesting lessons and challenges that I had to go through. So the whole why I have been single is because, again, I just was cognizant of the fact that I wasn't ready because I didn't know who I was. So how the hell am I going to be able to tell somebody what it is that I want in a relationship? And that's the biggest piece. If you take nothing out of this podcast episode, it's stay single if you don't know who you are, because you're not going to be able to manifest an equally yoked partner who's going to love you and support you the way that you want to be loved, because you don't know yourself. And that's 100% facts, all facts, no caps in here. And so yeah, that's why people be quick, especially, it's that whole thing of hurt people, but people want to be quick. Like, what you giving relationship advice for? You ain't single, you ain't got a man, I ain't seen you with no man. And I'm like, well, okay, well, so the reason why I ain't got a man is because, yeah, I didn't know myself, and I didn't want to continue to be person a broken person, a broke person. Oh, yeah, I didn't want that either. But like, I didn't want to continue to be a broken person breaking people. Right. And so I want to take the time now to apologize to anybody that I hurt while I was hurt and I'm still in my lesser version. But also vice versa. I want to take the time to also thank all the people that did hurt me, like relationship wise, because everything is a soul contract. Everything. Everyone comes to teach you something. And I would not be who I am right now without those things, both ways. Same for you all. The most painful lessons in love and relationships that you've had were the ones that taught you the greatest lessons, and gave you the biggest pieces of your puzzles. They leave a brand mark, sort of, so to speak, on your soul for a reason. So like, don't do that again, and also so you don't have to repeat that lesson again. You learn things from them. They help you grow. They help unlock parts of you that you didn't know were locked. And yeah, so it's a really, there's really like bad, I don't know, bad thing. Like, I don't know. The caveat there is obviously, you being in super aggressive relationships, like that's not the move. But at the end of the day, there's always something that can help you learn and grow from any and every situation and relationship that you encounter. And yeah, and that's pretty much about it. Let's see if there's anything. Oh yeah. So I also talked about what are the traits that they have that you love, which again, like I said, is kind of like, these are minuscule things of, they like that I'm weird and, multidimensional and mystical. And I like a person, I'm like sapiosexual. I like a person that can then make that can make love to my soul and my mind. Rare. I like that. Um, what are those traits that they have that like just lights you up, turns you on? What are those things? Like, we're not talking about just like the physical stuff. I'm talking about the inner works, what's inside this right here, the heart, the soul, the energetic and soul makeup of them. And then, yeah, and then, like I said, what are your hard no's? What are the things that you were like, hell no, absolutely the F not? And I've heard some people be like, my hard no's are this specific sign, and that's not, I don't, because a person's sun sign really has nothing to do. It's like the big three, their sun, moon, and rising sign, that make up kind of the personality that you're going to have to deal with on a day to day. And so yeah, I feel like that's a more accurate judge of whether or not you would get along with a person, rather than just immediately ex-naying somebody just because like of their sun sign. And again, if you keep having bad experiences with one particular sun sign, you need to check your birth chart and see if you have a Chiron wound in that sign, in that house. Where is your Chiron? Find out where your Chiron's, what house your Chiron is in. And that will tell you a lot about that, why you keep seeing that kind of person, or why you keep having that kind of pattern with that type of that particular sign. A lot of people also check your south node and see where what house, what sign your south node is in, to find out more about the details on that. Because again, if you have like past history with a particular sign, sometimes they come back frequently in your life. Like, I have a I have a lot of Scorpio and I have a lot of Leo, because my Chiron is in Leo. My wound is around showing my creativity, putting my creations out there. And so yeah, it's been a whole work in progress, but we out here, we doing the things. And I encourage you guys to, like I said, deep dive into the self, do a lot of introspection, do a lot of reflection, do a lot of acknowledging the self, loving the self, never looking at it with like a overly critical kind of nasty negative attitude type of way. None of this, but just looking at the self very transparently, very honestly to figure out, all right, what am I like? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What can I tolerate in a relationship? What do I want in a relationship? What am I like in a relationship? Just coming full circle here to close out. And really, knowing yourself is the biggest step. And please stop putting yourself back into the relationship pool when you know good and well that you're not ready, because it just keeps feeding the loop of hurt people hurting people. And then you be looking around like mad when the person that you're with is dogging you out and treating you terribly, because that's what you're putting yourself into. You're not healed. You're going to keep attracting that kind of person. You're not healed. That's your equally yoked person at that time. In that unhealed version, you're going to get an equally unhealed version as a partner. And so that's what it is. I tell people frequently and often when people go through breakups, divorces, whatever, they want to like hurry up and hop into a relationship so they can post on Instagram, so they can post on Facebook, so they can post on Snapchat and be like, look at me with my boo. Look at me with my new thing. Like, I'm so in love type of situation. You know, when you know good and damn well that you are not, you're probably still thinking about the person that you broke up with, or you whatever the case may be, that left you, that divorced you, that cheated on you, whatever the case may be. Running and hopping into a relationship with a person that's essentially just your rebound, your show toy, is not the move either. And let's just keep it about 100 here. Take time to heal. Just sit your ass down. just sit down and learn who you are. Go through that grieving process. It's a whole grieving process that happens when you're ending a relationship with somebody. Not only that, but like purging out that person's energy from you. You need to spend time dealing with that and cleansing, taking some salt baths, doing a lot of meditative showers, walking barefoot in the earth, going in for meditative walks. You have so much healing that needs to be done after ending a relationship with somebody. So, anyways, that's all I have for you guys. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget, you can book a one-on-one. You can apply to work one-on-one with me. And the New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension is available on Amazon and all the things. Until next time, I'll see you, V Squad.